excellent and exceptional person. Many thanks for this presentation. Then I would like, in fact, to deal with the results of my research, which have been done after the master I have been doing last year in neuropsychological aspects, and also I have worked with Forbrain. I think it's quite good to make a research on the machine and how it works for children. In fact, I had proposed it in my university as far as we went out of that framework of research as such, and I wondered which were the opportunities, and at the end I obtained the opportunity to implement my program of research. So this is why we've been dealing with the machine. We know how it works. We have these principles, the filter, the microphone, and that's why we know everything, all the machine, how it works. And in fact, I have introduced the machine at my university, and in fact, it was the overall aspect and of the system. In fact, I dealt with the implication of memory, but also short-run, long-run memory, concentration on oral communication, motivation, and also self-esteem and trust. In fact, we've already been dealing with these aspects, and we, Professor Acera, already dealt with this, and I worked with reading activities. I know that reading is very important for learning capacities in order to deal with the information, in order to transform it, becoming knowledge and developing the capacities, and also for personal development, academic development of the students. So this is why I have been working on reading activities. So the objectives of my work is mainly research linked to the theory as compared to reading activities, also on how we could use the equipment. And I wanted to quantify the improvements of that dispositive on abilities, capacities, skills, reading capacities, and the first objective in that horizon was to work on plasticity of neurological systems, starting from which will modify the frequencies and parameters in order to change the structure of your brain. Mainly the part which is connected to learning activities. So we have, of course, the bone and air conduction in order to deal with the pitch, lower and higher pitches, and also to develop all the communication paths. So this is why we have different fields in order to modify, to deal with, language and speech. So Forbrain, in fact, through the plasticity and bone conduction, as well as the audiovocal circuit, that will improve your speech capacities, but also all the reading skills, more than the psychological aspects, which have a common objective. In fact, it is to improve the knowledge and how to learn to read, actually. So the other objective here is clearly to focus on research. I had made different researches in Malaga, and it is a second school academy which has different centers. We had a lot of people participating to this project, and in fact we have an environment which is very well developed, taking into consideration the willingness to give to the children. So we had made different kind of experiences before and after the work. So we've been using Forbrain and a 10 minutes session for each student, and this has lasted 10 days. So we've had 2 groups, research and control groups, And I do not have videos because I did not have the opportunity to register everything. So anyway, the students worked so well with the Forbrain. They did, establish different systems of work, different paths. It was quite incredible. They could handle all these techniques, and they had really, they had a big smile. They were very, very satisfied, and they were happy. So using the equipment, it was so pleasant to work with them, and also because mainly we had different issues in order to keep the two groups to monitor everyone. In fact, we saw how children would handle the equipment, the machine, if the equipment was on or off, and they were, children, students were dealing with their techniques, how they would improve the way of using the machine. Like someone was explaining why it was working, another one was saying yes, but no, it doesn't work like this for me. So they were like interacting, making, sharing their activities. So this is incredible, and that was so unique. I could, help them, trying to help how to develop those activities. So this is why I think it was so important to use the Forbrain machine and equipment, and really it was exceptional. So we have been making tests according to the letters, the structures of the words. That was excellent. In fact, that allowed us to see the consciousness and also the, phonemes and how the words were made of. So, in fact, we obtained different letters here. For example, according to the precision of the text and the speed, we had the research group in blue and the control group in pink. And we actually, made before the tests, we tried to put everything on the left part here, which could really be interesting as far as the statistics are concerned. In fact, the students were already working on the letters, and there's not such a great difference here in the two groups. But as far as the speed now is concerned, well, we have a great difference. Very interesting, actually, between the groups, between the control and research group. So regarding the test, we can see that here an evolution and a difference which is quite significant. Now, for the reading of that word, we can define differences for the precision, but also for the speed. For research group, we have seen that it is, not such the same rhythm, but it will go, it will be faster, the control group, in order to keep the same path, the same results. In fact, we have had excellent results for research group and control group, but something has not been so well handled. It's in particular the teachers. When the teachers saw improvements, well, they were making another test, and that was made in order to control the progression. And in fact, they wanted to check as teachers to, see how such an improvement was possible. So the teachers were really wondering about this aspect, and according, now with respect to speed also of that proofs, well, the research group is a bit behind, but immediately after goes after the control group here in the post-tests. Now, as compared to the structure for the grammar aspect, where we have significant differences between the research group, which is blue, and the control group, which is pink. In fact, on the right part, you can see once more a difference, which is quite huge as respect to the results, and with the as compared to the group using Forbrain for 10 days, and also as compared for the speed of the grammar aspects. Well, also difference between the two groups, knowing that for some reasons the research group is starting a bit backward as compared to the control one. And now for the comprehension of a text, we can notice also different differences, 2% between research group and control group. And also here, look at the progression of the test as for the speed also and implementation of the test in the significant discrepancies. Well, it's at the limit here because really you can check it by yourselves, probably because we've been working only for 10 days. And I'm convinced that if we had continued like for 15 days, we would have had a better analysis and appreciation. So now, looking at the percentage as compared to the results, well, the number of results are different because we have kept the coherence and all the scores in the research group here for the post-test. Mainly, we want to check and to see an improvement or an increase at least of the students having a score which is better and higher in the post-test. But for the control group, we have an increase of the students which obtain the maximum of the score, and for the others scores, we have a gap. Well, a gap linked, like, for example, to 19 points. For these students will go back to 18, for example. Now, as far as the reading of that test is concerned, we can see the evolution of the research group in a very significant way towards, for the students having a best score, and also we can see once more that there's no student which will have the maximum score, obtain the maximum score. They will all be around 28 or 29 points. Now, as for the grammatical structure, and we have, of course, tried to see the different aspects, and we can obtain for the score 14 here different results. As for the control group, there's a certain stability, even a discrepancy, because in the pre-test we have some students obtaining a score which is the highest score, but then for the post-test we have a certain reject. Now, what about the comprehension of the tests? Well, the percentage of the research group and the students which had good results, let's say, well, they have a great improvement now. But for the control group, the children having good use of the punctuation, well, they are stable, getting always good result. And for the one who obtained E10 and 11, which shows that the students using Forbrain had a progression which is homogeneous. The total part went with a linear way, while the other students kept in that direction and in the same line of the learning capacities, having really good characteristics in time, sometimes more, sometimes less, but the learning capacity is more fluid and continuous, then more efficient, of course. As for this aspect, and also as compared to the chart we have received for how to use Forbrain with the children, I had recommended to work for 15 days every day, and 5 minutes with the children about comfort. If they have a headache, for example, we can reduce to 5 minutes or even to 3 minutes in order to reduce that time. Having a break for 15 days, then another cycle of 15 days, a new break, and also a third cycle of 15 days in order to check and work on twice, 3 times a week, according to the evolution of the children. Now, what are the conclusions we can have on this whole overall research? Well, we recommend to use the Forbrain as for the prevention and perfection of the learning capacity of reading. So the voice will modify, the content, and the air and bone conduction will improve the organization of your conscious as far as the pronunciation is concerned, thanks to the plasticity of the auditory system and the correction which can be implemented. And then also will improve the comprehension of the elements, the syntaxis and the comprehension of the texts, which is the process of syntaxes, but also phonemes, and the whole processes involved in reading. So there is good and pleasant information together with the children which were participating, and all the children, in fact, must have 10 minutes work with the Forbrain. I went for 10 days more to work with the others, because for the first time they were discovering the equipment. It was on, they were looking at it, staring at it, they were really fascinating with the machine, and they knew we were using it, and that was really incredible. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias. ¿Alguna pregunta?
Thank you. Do you have any questions? While, how much time did you work? And it was 10 days, 10 minutes? So 10 minutes per day? Yes, absolutely.
Przedstawiono Panią również jako specjalistę od Tomatisa, zresztą wszyscy tutaj
w jakimś stopniu jesteśmy. As experts, we're all experts in Tomatis here. I have a question. What about your technique, in the linguistic technique? Are you an expert? Because we have quite a different situation. We use the Tomatis method for foreign languages, and if I'm right, I would like to know what you think about the experiences you had, and mainly how to use Tomatis for the learning skills. Could be English for Spanish children, or also for the effects you may observe using this technique for brain in the framework of your researches, for example. What do you think of this? And then, can you compare your experiences, because you've been making those tests before? So, auditory processes using Tomatis before. What do you think of the eventual comparison which can be made? Yes, absolutely. I am a teacher, English teacher, and I've been using Tomatis in languages, mainly with students of secondary school and high school, and I wanted to deal with professionals which had to learn English in a very fast way. So, of course, I have seen the improvements in my professional experience. I can definitely say that we have great results, quite extraordinary from the first week of using the program. Actually, you can see excellent improvements, and they can see the differences as compared to how they were using the techniques and how they were learning new languages. So in those capacities, they told me it had been really incredibly different as compared to the previous techniques which were very deceiving, and in a way they would keep that connection thanks to these equipment, so no deviation, and they could focus more, they could identify better the topics, the subjects, so for the first time they could really handle different aspects, they could hear different words, and in fact some words were not so clear for them that they had to integrate it, so they were making the difference in fact between one expression, between one subject, and also when they had a question or a change in the timbre or the sound, everything was fundamental. So this is why they could really be able to work in that sense. So, I think that it was so important for them because they could hear a lot of tracks, and in fact I had also feedbacks from the students and teachers, and they told me that it was quite incredible. They had made a lot of changes, and in fact it was different because they had only to focus on the study and the learning capacities because they were sure to make improvements, and my experience in that sense as compared to other students making those programs, well, the total part is using the same words, the same changing aspects in order to to understand better.
Doprecyzuję, dobrze? Doprecyzuję.
More precisely, if I may, what do you see? I mean, then first, thank you very much, but you're dealing with the different effects, which were quite extraordinary, using a certain kind of method in the foreign languages learning capacities. Good. It seems the method it means the method is very efficient. But what I'm really interested here is the comparison between the excellent results you obtained on the one hand for learning new languages and foreign languages, but I would like to make a comparison with the Forbrain which you used during your researches, during the tests, during your PhD, and as a percentage, what does it works better, Forbrain or the method? I just ask for a comparison. We need a winner and a loser in a certain way. So what is your opinion on this one? So we need different settings for the gating, for example, effect, and everyone knows what I'm dealing with here.
Muchas gracias. No he hecho una cuantificación, no he hecho un estudio comparativo si lo he hecho con el Forbrain, no lo he hecho con Tomatis. Yo normalmente lo que hago es que siempre trabajo con Tomatis.
For Tomatis, I worked with Forbrain. I always worked on Tomatis, the foreign language learning aspect. So Forbrain is important when students read in the foreign language. This is clear, and I do advise to use Forbrain in that occasion for the students in English. So I had reorganized different lessons, and in function of the students and how phonemes are used and when words are spelled, where the spelling here is central. In fact, we need to, focus also on these aspects of spelling. So for grammar, for example, and I used talks, I used Forbrain, and we really get to the improvement of our accent. In fact, beyond one single comparison, we should make a combination of Tomatis and Forbrain for foreign languages. And I hope I did answer your question.
Gracias a vosotros.
Many, many thanks.